Welcome, folks, to a Lost in the Groove podcast, the Shin Dig Variety Show.
A podcast about society and culture, discussing topics that we deal with now and the changes that are coming.
So with that, let's start today's topic.
Mike, take it away, man. So I was telling you this, okay? And
Tell me again.
Tell you this again. It's all about the face.
Tell me again.
Okay? It's this thing where Facebook is no longer, like the company itself no longer is called Facebook. Now it's called Meta. Because Mark, the Destructionator, destroyer of all lives and human species, Zuckerberg, decided that he's going to be creating, didn't decide, this has been in development for God knows how many years. But anyway, he's creating a platform where we all can be a part of it and kind of leave the real world. Yeah. So, like, kind of like Ready Player One. I told you this before, like the book.
Tell me again so that the listeners can hear it too. So there was
anyone
this book,
that wants your kids to be intrigued by a book, get them Ready Player One. It's not the greatest book out there, but it's very intriguing for the modern audience. It came out in the 80s. The author of the book created a story in the distant future where this very large software conglomerate takes over the entire globe. And because the world is so impoverished and so destroyed by pandemics, yeah, it says pandemics in there, and outbreaks and destruction and so on, they have an issue where they're all connected to this machine. They all wear these goggles, Oculus, Facebook, okay? And they connect to this universe where they all are working or doing something, and they're a part of this software program. They're no longer a part of the real world.
It's got a blend of a few different things, plus Matrix and
Matrix was later. Matrix was
it was later, but still, I mean, getting plugged in right into this futuristic world that is not real. But you had asked me if I was familiar. I've known about his interest in this going back a few years. In 2018, when he announced Libra, that was the first indicator that they're looking into this world as a whole. But that was just one aspect of it.
Think about it.
If you created a world, right, a world in a network kind of setting, right, and then you include Oculus as the tool that people would be engaging with this world, you'd also need a currency. That's where Libra would come in too.
But Oculus is not a new thing. I mean, the U.S.
they bought
the U.S. government has been working on VR headsets. Actually, I think it's been 39 years when they started developing the program. Originally, what it was to teach combat. Like Air Force
combat
that were on these very specific type of planes. They wanted them to have a virtual reality of their settings to be able to learn on how to combat the plane. Back then,
because we're talking about fucking $1 billion worth of equipment. They better know how to fly those fucking things.
This is crazy. So government technology, which is about 39 years in the making, is now in the hands of a private software conglomerate. Like Facebook, now Meta. I don't give two shits. Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it. What the hell?
It's an important question to kind of like ponder about why change the name. Changing the name is suggestive in the sense that they're going in a new direction. Now that they have all the world's data, 2-3 billion users globally. That's almost half the population, at least of active users. It's then there's a next phase to this business model. What did you tell me earlier? Like someone's gonna assassinate him, and then what did I say? It's unlikely. He's got ties.
I don't think this is going to happen now. But you have to remember something. When we reach the distant future, we're going to be looking at a reality, and this is unfortunate. Everybody should be aware of this. A future of constant chaos, air pollution like nobody's business, filthy cities. I mean, New York City will look a lot worse than it does now. We're going to also live in a world where there's going to be software wars. there are going to be companies like Google will physically go after Meta. They'll attack.
It already
But
happened.
I'm saying it'll be more
Yeah.
open than it ever was before. We would physically see it, and it would affect us on a day-to-day basis because they become so infected, like C19, into our soil and into our veins that
Yeah,
we can't
yeah,
get
yeah.
out of it. We
I
can't
get
get out
it.
of it. We're stuck.
We are. I mean, come on, man. Like I said, it's already been happening. And when you had suggested that they would take this guy out, even in the distant future, what makes us think any of these people would be even living on this planet anymore, right?
I mean, it's pretty easy to kill somebody on Mars, even if we colonize it. Now,
Not if you run Mars and you create the new government.
yeah, Elon Musk. It's gonna be Musk land.
Yeah, Enoch
Enoch
land.
land. Ooh, I like that. We should, eventually, if this podcast gets big, we got to get Elon Musk on here. I'm telling you, you'd have a lot of fun with him.
I mean, if we can actually get him to speak, but
yeah, he's
just based on his like previous interviews, it's a slow process. He's a deep thinker. He's not like
hello. Have
not
you
quick
met
to
you? You are like one of the deepest thinkers I know. Like,
no, this guy's
I
even
know
fucking
that,
deeper.
but I'm just saying, like, I know somebody's a deep thinker, but then like the next level of deep thinking. But
well, he's like, he's up there, man. And so it would be a slow conversation if you've ever watched
I
these
know.
interviews. You ask him a question, and then he's just sitting there, kind of like, really. What I see in his eyes is that he's running calculations, these equations of if this, then that, if not that, then this, and why and or what.
See, this is the thing. This is why I might get a lot of hate for this. I believe in Elon Musk's future more than Facebook and more than Google, because at least Elon Musk's future, yeah, pretty bad, but at least there's a glimmer of hope where we're not stuck. We're not being a bunch of idiots and wasting all of our time on useless things like we've been consistently doing.
At least he's thinking about it and he's putting action behind it. Incredible the things that he has achieved, and even more remarkable is his unwavering commitment to what he believes in and really going after it. So, cheers, Elon.
Hope we can have you on here one day.
Enoch land. I'll see you there, bro. We'll have cocktails.
Ooh. Can I come to on the private spaceship?
Yeah, it's probably going to definitely be private.
Boeing is probably like Mercedes is going to make like a new, but
$1 million tickets.
See, this is my problem. This has been my problem with Facebook from day one. Is yes, Mark Zuckerberg is a very highly intelligent human being. He hasn't, honestly, in my own personal view, he hasn't created anything that is going to benefit us in 100 years. Whereas,
I mean, the Zucks is intelligent, but not the brains. Like Steve Jobs, right? Intelligent, but wasn't necessarily the brains of the actual hardware. So he has vision of what he wants to do, but someone else actually has to write the code. Elon is like several.
Okay, you're using Steve Jobs as an example. Here's the problem. Steve Jobs was an architect, and he also was an engineer at the same time. What does that mean? He was able to look at a product. He didn't have to understand the electronics, but he could look at a product and say, hey, I want something that's sleek, simple, efficient, quiet, cool. I want it to be this type of parameter. I want it to be this distance from the eyes. I want the feeling to feel natural. He was able to take all of those aspects and then give that over. Again, no offense to Mark Zuckerberg. What the hell has the man has done to our generations and our future in the past, 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, nothing close. But again, intelligent, just on that level, we're talking about, a person who has gotten to this point. I feel like mainly just understanding what he may want to achieve. Someone else is doing all the
Oh,
legwork,
100%.
you know.
And it's not it's a
You know,
non-American.
so that's the bottom line. We look at Elon several levels above because he's intricately involved in all the layers of the
Yeah.
technology
He didn't like
and the
he didn't like
integration.
NASA, and he's like, okay, screw you guys. I'm gonna make my own space company. And
Yeah, why
and you know
not?
what's
I mean,
crazy? SpaceX has done more work for our
yep.
research and our science than NASA has done in 40 years.
I mean, there's no fun. I mean, Obama basically nixed whatever little funding they had left. So, and then, who we were relying on? We were relying on Russia to get our astronauts into orbit and to the International Space Station for like a decade. Um, talk about, they call that international
Right.
cooperation,
Sure.
you know,
Just means
but
a bigger check for somebody in the office.
but I call that a national security issue. Ultimately, the SpaceX has brought us back to a level playing field where not only can we give our corporate entities in our country more of an advantage, but eventually all the world powers are going to have to lean towards the guy who can do it for the least amount of money. But on top of that, that's on the base layer of the things they can do.
It,
You want something developed, they'll develop it for you too.
Elon's goal of colonizing Mars benefits us so much more than the metaverse. And you know why? The research that we learn on that red planet is not only going to save our Earth, but your goddamn children, whoever's out there, your children and your great grandchildren, your great grandchildren will benefit from that because we'll be able to
Absolutely.
take useless soil. We'll be able to take damaged soil in India and China that's been polluted for God knows how many years, and because of the research we've done on Mars, we're able to build up our agriculture here on Earth. We're able to build up our ecosystem. Possibly, I don't know, get to zero emissions if that's even possible.
I mean, that's one of his main goals. He's getting closer. He's certainly lit a fire under the industry of automobiles, which is the number one polluter. But it doesn't eliminate the problem entirely. However, understanding like where he's coming from, he's looking at such a bigger picture, saying like, all right, on a daily basis, there are billions of cars on the road, producing emissions. If we can solve that problem first, we can deal with manufacturing later, and manufacturing will shift to 3D printing. I mean,
3D printing is amazing.
it's
it's incredible
incredible.
technology. But
Yeah, dude.
what?
Okay, it is so fucking incredible. There's a company right now that builds rockets for SpaceX using 3D
My
printing.
brother, I can't talk too much about this, but my brother is working on a technology of building better housings for electronic components for your vehicle that are better than when they're manufactured. It's all done with 3D printing, and it's what's called nanoscanning. So it's
Wow.
like microscopic to the level of the T of the strength. So it could potentially be better if a vehicle gets smashed into a wall instead of the whole thing going up in flames or something, God forbid, happens to the person. This is our future. But
Dude, your brother's gonna be a fucking billionaire. He's gonna make it.
It's just the beginning.
Someday I'd like to meet this guy. He sounds quite brilliant.
Oh, he's an incredible. He's absolutely. My brother is. He's a very strong believer of the future, especially like the direction we're going, especially in regards to consumers and what's available. Again, this is my problem with. I don't have anything wrong with virtual reality. I love it. I think it's really cool. It's great.
It sounds
It's
fun.
great. But we have a real planet. You have a daughter. Can you imagine a universe where somebody like you, your daughter wears goggles, you wear goggles, your wife wears goggles? That's how you communicate. That sounds horrible.
Yeah. Where's the affection?
There is nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing other than just the simulation. It's there's already talks about the potential of being in a simulation. This motherfucker, the Zucks, is actually trying to put us into a simulation. The simulation within a simulation. within a simulation.
Hopefully, he fails.
No, I mean, I don't think he will.
I'm just saying with the whole metaverse
there-
thing. I hopefully look, dude. This is something we do not want to be our future. We don't want a future of everything's metaverse. This is not. You know, I was actually looking this up. Do you know what the meta's Greek? Do you know what meta means in
Tell
English?
me.
It means after or beyond. I'm reading from Google, by the way, because I have my phone right over here. After or beyond. Hold on one second. You want to finish up?
All right.
I gotta grab my cat. She's waiting by the window. Hold on.
Fucking cat. Ruining today's Shin Dig Variety Show. You know, everything that Dave is saying, I can totally understand. At the same time, there's what have we done over the course of 2 or 3 decades to prevent the movement forward in technological advancement? Very little. I mean, so ultimately, most of these things will become reality. How much do you want to submit to it is the question. You know, use it when needed. Like the addiction to our devices is so serious that the next phase is most certainly something like the metaverse and gaming and simulated realities. You know, avatars. Like all these things are not new. They've been created over like years ago, and they've been implemented in various ways over time. And all of this is just kind of a beta phase. We're eventually going to come out of this beta phase where it is being integrated into something that is global. So
look, you know what? We made a choice with electric vehicles. You know, when Elon Musk came along and he introduced the idea way back when in 2008, people thought he was
2001, 2003 is when Tesla was created. When they
released, I'm talking about when they released the Tesla Roadster, which was 2008. That was the year that it was released.
A real working prototype, yeah.
It was 2008.
Gotcha.
And everybody thought he was nuts. And everybody thought this is going to die. And a lot of people were against the idea. But you know what happened? People started believing in it. And even though electric vehicles are way too expensive, they are not as efficient in regards to mileage, in regards to vehicles that have petroleum. They're not as easy to charge as if you had a vehicle that just takes petrol. But that's just now. And we keep believing on it. So the same thing with the metaverse is that we can't stop it from happening. But you get to make the choice of where we can live in reality where we're not. I mean, it's the metaverse. You could be a part of it, but most people are not. Some people are, more people aren't, more people are, and vice versa. We can choose that future.
Look at what we're doing now. This is almost, you know, a part of that metaverse world. Even this podcast in the form of how it's being done, right? We're not in the same room. It's kind of a simulated idea of us almost kind of being in the same room, having this conversation.
The borders. I'm so proud of the borders.
Yeah.
I made the colors. So
yeah. I mean, it's bound to happen, and you are definitely the right person to be talking to if we were like comparing side by side. You work every single day with vehicles and their parts. You know, when you say that the efficiencies are not quite there yet, I believe you. I understand. You are definitely somebody that understands. It's getting there.
I do believe, based on what Elon Musk is doing with mileage and battery and all of it getting better and better.
Yeah,
we should be able to get to 1,000. I'm serious, 1,000 miles per charge, and a 5-minute quick charge of half, so 500 miles with 30 minutes by the year 2037.
Why that date? Why do you throw out that number?
Based on his progression, it goes by a 3 to 4 year basis. So 3 or 4 years ago, the top level Tesla model was making about maybe 256, like top.
Yeah, 250.
Right, but then 3 to 4 years later, it's now up to 325. It's top.
I see.
So based on that, if you do the math, by the year...
No. No, I think there'll be an exponential jump much
Right,
sooner.
probably around
Yeah.
2029 or 2030, because
Yeah.
2029 and 2030 is the year that Mars colonization is being launched. So at that point, he's working on battery technology with SpaceX, because one of the things is they're trying to make the rockets more efficient with
Right.
battery technology. So
It makes
right,
sense.
so you
I mean, look at all the electronics that are going to be running on that thing. Not just the rocket, but everything else.
AR
That
VR is eventually going to be very important to spacecraft, because if you have to put somebody in like a sleep, can you imagine putting somebody like in a subconscious sleep, where their subconscious
what for like hibernation?
but their subconscious is a VR reality that they can live in while they're sleeping. It could be like 20 years, 30 years. They get to live in it.
I mean, if you're trying to send people even beyond Mars, then that makes sense. But let's refer to movies, man, that have simulated those ideas in their story plots. I mean, there's many movies, there's many TV shows that have portrayed like, oh, spaceship is approaching its destination. Let's wake up the crew who have been in hibernation or what is it, cryogenically frozen for the last 20 years as they waited to get to their destination.
Isn't it crazy? We could, because this is the whole thing about cryogenic technology, is we could potentially be looking at a future that we can freeze people and then we can keep them alive for very long periods of time.
Yeah. No aging. Instead of having somebody age 20 years and then have to feed his ass, all along the way, wasting resources. Let's just freeze them, and then that way, when they get there was no resources wasted. And
prison sentences, you just freeze people.
But that doesn't work.
No, I mean,
yes, you can do it. I'm saying, on a moral perspective.
They don't give two shit. They don't give two shits about morals.
No. You're missing my point. Someone who commits a horrible crime needs to suffer for the 20 years, not be cryogenically frozen, unless they're going to be put into a VR situation, their subconscious, where they're living a hell in their sleep.
Oh yeah,
every single day.
You
I don't know. That sounds fucking horrible too.
But let's see what happens. All right, guys, we've talked so much. We're out of here. Peace.
We've reached the end of the broadcasting time limit.
So with that, thank you guys so much for watching.
Please make sure to like and sub, as this helps grow our channel and the Lost in the Groove family, which you are now a part of.
Can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.